Good morning. Welcome to Walking Through Glass, the podcast, with your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown. I woke up this morning. I'm going and turn that down. I want to keep the happy music playing. And I'm back for your daily dose of vitamin Dr. D, because everybody needs a little bit more sunshine in their life. And definitely today, when I look and see how overcast it is on these usually sunny California streets, I'm going to turn it all the way down, y'all. Deal with this and stuff going on. I still have a little background. All right. So, here's the deal. I committed to coming on in the mornings to give a little hot shot of awesome as I process through what's been going on in my life, with the expectation that I'm operating in my gift and in my purpose, which is to inspire, empower, and transform lives. And I want to make sure that I show up every day to do that. And me showing up every day to do that also requires me to spend quite a bit of time reflecting. So I actually usually wake up about 4:35 a.m. I have my prayer and meditation time, and I spend probably about what I call maybe about an hour in a semi-vegetation state. And when I say semi-vegetation state, I meant in a growth state of thinking of, okay, how am I going to embrace the day? What is it that I need to realign to make sure that I get the most out of the day? And that in getting the most out of the day, that I'm truly looking at opportunities and possibilities and everything that is possible and plausible to me. And what I mean by that is that life happens and we get frustrated. We get tired. We get annoyed. We encounter people and situations that really nearly take us, and sometimes it actually does, let's be honest, outside of ourselves. And when it takes us outside of ourselves, then we have to reflect on, was that the best for me? Was I continuing to show up in alignment with my purpose? And so, maybe everybody doesn't think like that. I do. And I thought I'd share a little bit about how I go through the reflective state and my most powerful I am statement. I'm going to share that with you too today. So, when I encounter a situation, especially given being in a leadership space, being a mom, being a business owner, being a coach and a speaker and a trainer. And that alone puts me into some unique situations. And couple that with everything that I bring along on this journey with me that I've experienced before. I constantly have to, what I call sieve or filter, putting it like in a colander, my emotions, my reactions, so that I can not react to things, but I can actually better respond, so that the outcome that is most aligned to what I want in life is what I actually get. So what does that look like? So it looks like me having a conversation with a colleague, whether they're professional, I'm working with them, or it's someone that's in a position that I've contracted with, or it's a potential client. And as women, the way we show up in those most critical, crucial conversations really can work for us And unfortunately, oftentimes it works against us depending on how we react. And so what I do is that I spend some quality time. And this is like in my head, and it might think you think I'm spending hours and hours and hours. Actually, I've gotten so good at it that usually within 5 to 10 seconds flat, I could go through a really quick processing of saying to myself, Dina, respond. Hold your reactions. Now, the only thing I do got to work on is my face, because sometimes my face starts reacting before my response gets out. And what I've learned on this journey, because again, I have a purpose, inspire, empower, and transform lives. And my big picture thinking is I want anyone that I come in contact with to walk away from our interaction feeling either inspired, empowered, or transformed in a more positive manner. I didn't say that we have to agree. I didn't say that they have to love me. But what I do want is that the interaction that we've had has been beneficial to either cause them to realize something new about the situation or even about themselves. So when I've gotten into conversations, and I wasn't always in this place, and I'm going to just be real, like I told you, these morning moments and these daily doses are really raw and uncut. And when it hits my brain, I'm learning more than just to share it with the expectation that, again, somebody out there needed this today and needs to be blessed by it. And on this journey to learning to respond instead of react, I realized that although I'm evaluating my emotions, my reactions, and my role in the conversation, I don't have to accept someone else's perception and opinion of who they think I am. Because I know who I am. And I refuse to make apologies about who I am. Now, if something that I do is out of pocket or did not make people, again, walk away inspired, empowered, or transformed in a positive way, then I do want to reflect on that. And I want to look for opportunities to see how I could have reshaped or reshifted. But here's what I've learned recently. And I say this to those of us out there who at the end of the day, we really care. We want the best from people. Is that some people are not going to like you just because of who you are, what you represent. And I'm going to take a step further. Is that sometimes people don't even like the light that you have because they're so filled with darkness. So there's no reason for me to shape shift, mental shift, mind shift, for me to take my light and embed it into that dark space. But what I will continue to do is to show up with my light, hoping and expecting to shed light that will positively impact those people who are sitting in the dark. But what I do say to myself, and I literally say this to myself, okay, take your feelings out of it, take your emotions out of it, step outside of it, and because one of the most important people in my entire life is my child. If this was your child, if this was someone interacting with your child, how would you want the interaction to go? How would you want your child to walk away? And it doesn't matter to me if the person's older than me, younger than me, same age. I still think of it because I had to take the person who I love on this earth beyond anything I could ever imagine and think about how would I react, respond, all of that bundled into that if someone came at, approached, spoke to, and imparted words into my child. So that's why I use that example. So what I advise you to do is to find whatever that or whoever that person is. Sometimes it's your mom, sometimes it's your dad, sometimes it's your children, sometimes it's your tia, your loved one, auntie, whoever it is for you. And think about how would you want them to walk away if they got into an interaction with someone that was similar to the same one that you were processing through. And when you do that, It allows you to see yourself in a 360 view. And when you see yourself in a 360 view, you're better equipped to respond instead of react. Here's a very powerful statement when you are catch yourself. And sometimes people are pushing your buttons, and they want you to react right now. Like right now. It is okay to say, I'm really not in a good space to communicate with you right now, but I would love to kind of come back when I've had time to process this. Take time to process. That's my tip. Take time to process. When you're walking through glass, and remember the title of this podcast is Walking Through Glass. The glass is not career-wise busting through the ceiling, attaining the education, working your butt off, and using your role to get to the next spot. It's once you're sitting in that seat, once you have the position and the place, the prestige, the power, even the paycheck, what happens behind the door? Those doubts, those fears, those insecurities, the limiting beliefs, the imposter syndrome, the worries, the quote unquote, the they-isms. If we're dealing with the they-isms and we are letting that to impact and create a picture of who we are to ourselves, then that's a distorted image. And you will never rise above the self-image you have for yourself. You can fake it on the surface. You can make yourself all pretty. But as a woman thinketh, so shall she leadeth. Which is why I'm speaking to getting a handle on really being very clear about who you are. So that you can be very confident about the way that you show up. And you can be very consistent in your actions, because it's your consistency that's going to tell your story. It's your consistency that's your most valuable branding tool. Consistency, consistency, consistency. But you cannot have consistency unless you have a very clear picture of who you are and are very confident that you can stand in the face of adversity in that position. So, what do you really need to do that? I'm going to share with you the most powerful I am statement. The most powerful I am statement for me to date. I am resourceful. I am resourceful. I am resourceful because I have learned how to draw on any and everything that has come before me, that I've learned on my journey to be able to be the best version of myself today. Because I live my life on purpose with purpose. And I choose to live my very best life today. And in order to do that, I have to be resourceful. Who do I need? Where do I get it from? And don't be afraid to ask. Being resourceful is about knowing where to go get what you need to get where you're trying to go. So, on this amazing Tuesday, I want to share with you that in embracing the journey, you really, truly do have to understand that there's also a process to your purpose. And it's in that process that you really are going to have your stretching and all your growing. And it can also be very painful. But just because it's painful doesn't mean that it's not worth it. Trust me, I went and got a deep tissue massage the other day and I wanted to cry at the end of it. But my muscles were so knotted and so just bound in there. By the time that person finished elbowing and kneeing me and doing all this other stuff, I walked in there with limited mobility in my arm and my shoulder, being able to move it. And I walked out with an increased range of motion. So, your takeaway is that there can be pain in the process, but use your resources. to mitigate that so that you too can live your life with purpose on purpose. That's all I got for you today. Remember, if there's something in this message that resonates with you, and it is something that somebody else needs today, because we all need a little bit more sunshine in our lives, please share. Walking Through Glass, the podcast, is available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, coming soon to iHeartRadio. So there's multiple ways to listen, and it's also available on my YouTube channel at Dr. Dina Speaks. It's a pleasure, and I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing. And if you have a topic that you would like to share, and you would like to be a guest, or you'd like to have a conscious conversation with me, please reach out. I love to connect and see how we can collaborate together. Definitely leave a comment. If you have some additional insight, if you have a magical way that you deal with the process, I'm all ears. So, that's your daily dose of Vitamin Dr. D. Today, it's been a pleasure, and it's always an honor to bring you Walking Through Glass, the podcast. This is your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown, signing off. Have an amazing day. Remember, it's your choice. Bye-bye.